Rock called out by a boxing champion, and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for June 15th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With her and Naomi suspended from WWE following their walkout during Raw weeks back, Sasha Banks has gotten surgery at New Samai, as this video was posted by the Florida facility. Neither Sasha nor Naomi have commented on their WWE status publicly, so we'll have to wait and see if they return. Speaking on Kurt Angle's podcast, Ronda Rousey mentioned a potential match between the 4 Horsewomen of MMA and WWE. Not that I know of. It literally seems like the longest build in the history of women's wrestling. Like, if this ever happens, I mean, I would lose my mind probably. We'll see. I don't know. Usually they don't think of like the long game for a lot of the stuff that they're doing. This is the longest long game that has ever happened in wrestling. So before I retire, I would love to be at a thing with all of us, but I almost don't want to dare to hope at this point. Touching on her recent character changes in WWE, Alexa Bliss told the Residency podcast, "I love evolving. I don't like getting comfortable with one character. I like to always keep moving and keep changing and keep evolving mentally. I get very bored. I love the unknown. I love not knowing what I'm doing tomorrow." Whether qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match remains to be seen if she could win the bout for a second time. Recalling the debut of Johnny Elite in AEW, where he was defeated by Miro, Conan dragged the company on the Keeping It 100 podcast, saying, "I don't know why they brought him in to do 2 jobs. The guy looks great. He's great on the promo. He's a good guy. He can still bring it. That was stupid. He's fresh off a WWE TV. I don't understand why they did that. I don't think he's signed, by the way, but I don't understand why they brought him in with so many other guys. You could have done that with just a Barry Morrison." Speaking about his behind-the-scenes experiences in WWE on Twitch, former producer for the company, Dan Rickert, said this about pitching storylines to the chairman. "There was a lot of pitching, a lot of brainstorming. It was tough because it's like, how many times over 2.5 years can you sit in these long brainstorming meetings, coming up with a bunch of good ideas that you know are good, and then you know that people will listen to, and people around you, the people on your team going, yeah, it's a good idea. But because you're just waiting for an old guy up top to look at something and he never does, or he does and he forgets about it, and you never get to do it. So kind of hard to get that enthusiasm up for brainstorming 2.5 years in." Talking about a streaming service for his product with comicbook.com, AEW President Tony Khan noted that, "As we've developed more content, growing the library, I think, and the demand has grown for a variety of reasons. I think all the stars are aligning. AEW as a streaming service has more potential value in the future. And then the purchase of Ring of Honor, now to have access to one of the best wrestling libraries in North America, with some of today's top stars and some of the top stars in the past few decades. And those thousands of hours of Ring of Honor footage, in conjunction with the hundreds of hours of AEW footage we've assembled and continue to assemble on a weekly basis, week in, week out, and the growing demand from our fans. I think all of these factors contribute to why this would be a great time for AEW to launch a streaming service. And it's a conversation that I've had and continue to actively have with Warner Brothers Discovery, who are one of the worldwide leaders in streaming and sports content." After accusing the owner of IWA Mid-South, Ian Rotten, of not paying him for nearly a month after performing for his promotion, Crist took to Twitter in a video to respond. Here's the clip.
"Ian Rotten, I've given you 3.5, almost 4 weeks now. It's probably been 4 weeks! I've given you a fucking month to give me my money. So now that you've burnt this bridge, I got a little burning to do myself."
During that previously mentioned interview, Khan also noted that the upcoming Forbidden Door event could become an annual show. So Gato and I, generally anything that involves AEW and New Japan, I think we're both going to have to agree on what the matchup is, and what the ideas are for the show. And in general, that's what we've been doing for over a year now, and it's worked really well. It started with AEW wrestlers going there, and had some thoughts and ideas about what they should or shouldn't be doing. And then New Japan started sending wrestlers here later in 2021, and for over a year, the Forbidden Door has gone both ways, with wrestlers coming in from both companies and out and working for each other. So it is different when we're working together like this, and it's been a great collaboration for a long time now with AEW and New Japan, and I like working with Gato. Yeah, I think we are hoping that's what it'll become. Member of Chris Jericho's new faction in AEW, Daniel Garcia, recently spoke on Talk Is Jericho about how close he came to signing with WWE. I did one loop of Dark in September of 2020, and then I had my trial with WWE in January of 2021. I did so many burpees to show that I'm a good wrestler. I did the camp, and honestly, I crushed it. The promo was phenomenal, or I thought it was at the time. Looking back on it, it probably wasn't, but at the time I liked it. I had a really good practice match. It was only me, one other indie guy, and then a bunch of football players. I thought I did really well. They asked me to stay an extra day to have a squash match on NXT against Tyler Rust. The match went really well. I remember I went to the back and Shawn Michaels loved it, Road Dogg loved it, and A-Train loved it. Triple H shook my hand and said welcome to the team. I think he thought I was signed, but I wasn't at the time. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to NXT. Mom, I'm moving to Orlando. I talked to Candy Cameron right before I left. He said, hey, let me know if any other place has interest because we'll sign you sooner. And in my mind, I'm like, that's disrespectful to me. If you want to sign me, just sign me. Then I remember I was like, okay, he wants to play that, I'll play it back to him. At the time I had interest from Ring of Honor, and I knew AEW wanted to bring me back in for extra work, but I was like, I'm going to make this seem bigger than it actually is. So I said to him, well, with that being said, I'll talk to you very soon. And I think he kind of got hot at me for that. I think it shook him up a bit. They emailed me a couple weeks later kind of saying, we're going to stay in contact, blah blah blah. That kind of made me mad. So I went on a crazy indie run and I signed with AEW. Thunder Rosa was accused of not cooperating during a recent match against Marina Shafir on Dynamite, where it appears she is sandbagging to make her opponent look weak. Shafir and Britt Baker would like the tweet accusing Rosa, as Eva Lise, a former AEW star who was fired from the company after a match with Rosa, even acknowledged this. Now Rosa has responded on the MMA Hour saying, no, I'm not going to say like I said in the New York Post. I have nothing but respect for my opponents. Anyone that dares to stand in the ring with me, I have nothing but respect to my opponents, and I send them nothing but my blessings. Moving on forward, I will continue to work harder to have the best matches I can bring and to bring the most opportunities for all the women that are behind me. So when they step in the ring with me, they're like, okay, cool. Like I said, people are going to talk and that's fine. I'm not worried about it. I will continue to move forward and I will continue to show with my body of work what I'm all about. That's all I have to say. With WWE star Paige set to become a free agent on July 7th, Booker T took to his Hall of Fame podcast to give his prediction on what's to come. I'm sure she's going to be highly sought after because Paige is one of a kind. I'm gonna say this, Paige is going to be back inside the squared circle very, very soon. Let's just say that. I don't have any inside information, I just know how much she loves the business. I know how much her family loves the business and how well connected they are to the love of this game, and Paige went out not on her own terms. Paige is somebody that is definitely going to step back in that squared circle and prove that she is still one of the best female superstars that ever got in the ring, and trust me on that. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I just got a feeling in my bones. I got a feeling in my bones that it's going to happen real soon, okay? That's all I'm saying. With him retired from professional boxing, WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury is now looking to do exhibition bouts as he names some potential opponents while speaking on Good Morning Britain. This is not professional boxing. This is pure entertainment. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. The difference is, the exhibition, you're not there to win or lose. You're there to put on a show for fans. You can fight old timers, famous people, whoever you want. I'm looking to fight Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, or Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Following Jeff Hardy's arrest for DUI and subsequent suspension from AEW, Lance Storm spoke on the Figure 4 Daily about the situation, saying dangerous stunts in the ring can be blamed for his addiction issues. This isn't just with Jeff, but I think one of the cruxes of the problem is anyone I know who has battled addiction, whether it be alcohol or drugs, the key to overcoming it in most cases is getting away from the lifestyle, the cycle, and the habits you had while you were intoxicated. Scott Hall is a great example of this. He gets away from wrestling and often gets help from DDP, gets away from wrestling, gets sobered up and cleaned up, and then he takes bookings, gets back on the road, and falls off the wagon again. The continued cycle of going to rehab and then going back on the road also leads to another thing. Jeff Hardy is really hurting, he is really banged up, and he is doing swantons on the steel stairs. He continues to get booked in dangerous matches and a willingness to do stunt matches. We also have a decades-long history of injuries of guys being all beat up in pro wrestling that leads to self-medication. That's something that needs to be addressed because there are a lot of people working really hurt, and this is in every company. There are stunt matches on every show with guys that are getting hurt. And then we have people with substance issues. It is a scary combination. A fan yesterday replied to AEW's statement on the matter saying Matt Hardy should have prevented his brother from driving. Matt replied, "Understand your passion on this and agree that DD is unacceptable. I expect speculation from fans, but not you. I haven't touched a drug in over a decade, haven't drank since I've been a dad. Saw Jeff last on Sunday night and flew early Monday with Rebby. I can't be with Jeff every minute." A video was also posted on Reddit showing Jeff on stage drinking whiskey while performing the night before his DUI. In a huge development, the board of WWE has started an investigation into Vince McMahon's secret settlement of $3 million to a former employee. According to the Wall Street Journal, it's alleged that McMahon had an affair with said former employee, who was hired in 2019. They were barred from speaking on details regarding the relationship with Vince in January of this year. The investigation began in April, which unearthed non-disclosure agreements between ex-female employees, alleging misconduct from McMahon and John Laurinaitis. JD from New York would react, writing, "I genuinely wonder if this latest Vince McMahon bombshell is one of, it may not be the sole reason, but one of the reasons why Stephanie McMahon so easily walked away. Maybe she knew a storm was coming. Laurinaitis will be fired. There is always a fall man to Vince. He's one." Another fan wrote, according to the Wall Street Journal, Vince McMahon is paying women 200 bands to have sex with him and then passing them off to Johnny Ace. Then he's paying them even more and putting them under non-disclosure agreements. It's nasty over there in Stamford. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.